by using a tornado on a plate of garlic dumplings that Levi summons with a ninja-sounding attack. I think I said that Levi summons. And I just want to do that again anyway, yeah. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel episode review. And happy Halloween! What's that? Yes, I know that Halloween is next week, but that's only here in the real world. In the Power Rangers universe, Halloween always takes place on a Saturday, and at least 1 week before it actually happens in the real world. It's kind of like Thanksgiving always being on a Thursday. Or maybe more like Easter, because sometimes it's in March and sometimes it's in April. What was I talking about again? Oh, right, Halloween. It's time to see what costumes the Rangers picked out for themselves and what zany clip show antics they'll get up to on All Hallows Eve. Let's take a look at the 21st episode of Super Ninja Steel. Remember, production numbers dictate that the holiday specials are the last 2 episodes of the season, regardless of when they air or take place. Monster Mix-Up. As the episode starts, the Rangers have gotten together to go trick-or-treating. Not exactly a common activity for high schoolers, but I am firmly in the camp that says you're really never too old, so I'm not going to judge. And by the way, let's just get this out of the way now. Brody is a Roman soldier, Levi is an Egyptian pharaoh, Haley is a 70s hippie, Calvin is, I think, a wrestler, Sarah is a fighter pilot, and Preston is a caveman. But not just any caveman, a caveman that happens to be wearing blue. A blue caveman. I hope you see what Preston was going for there, and that he makes sure to keep to the caveman code. Although, funny enough, Preston has actually met Coda, so thinking about it, this could have been a deliberate reference in canon. Suddenly, and by that I mean literally, it's the next thing that just happens, 7 monsters teleport down. They're led by a monster named Versix, and the rest are a group called the Gruesome Grunts. So, hang on a second. Their leader's name is literally Versix, but technically speaking, he's the 7th?
Man's practicing fuzzy math again.
Brody points out that if Odious is sending 7 monsters at once, she must be getting desperate. The Rangers go to morph when they realize something. They all left their power stars with Mick for adjusting while they went trick-or-treating.
No. 1
or 2 of the Rangers leaving their stars with Mick for adjusting, that would be perfect. The entire team forgetting their stars, maybe leaving them with their regular clothes when they changed into their costumes. That'd be a little harder for me to accept, but still easier than the entire team just voluntarily deciding to be powerless when there is still an active, ongoing threat. If you are going to do this, it's something that you have to establish from the beginning, that this is something that has to happen right now. Like the stars aren't working and need to be adjusted, and Mick has to fix them. The Rangers don't have a choice in this. They're just going to have to be powerless for a while. However, Versix says that the monsters aren't interested in the Rangers' power stars or have anything to do with Madame Odious. They just want the fame that would come from destroying the Power Rangers. Of course, that fame would be primarily because of Galaxy Warriors, which is associated with Madame Odious, so anyway, how are they planning on destroying the Rangers? I mean, they don't have their powers, but still, what's their plan? Versix swaps the spirits of the monsters and the Rangers, who, of course, don't try to dodge or get out of the way or do anything like that, just standing there and letting it happen. Versix then cuffs them with handcuff magic, But at this point, it's finally gotten through to at least some of the Rangers that maybe dodging would be a good idea, as Brody and Sarah manage to dodge away and avoid the handcuff magic. And by the by, I'll be addressing these as they come up, but Brody has been switched with Action, an unused Dino Charge monster, while Sarah has been switched with Plasmora, which is Necroli from Mystic Force's Japanese monster suit. Versick says he'll go after the two escapees, and the monsters should wait for the arrival of the mummy guards. Wait, the mummy guards. Don't tell me. Yes, the mummy guards arrive, and the monsters, claiming to be the Rangers, say they've captured 4 of the 6 gruesome grunts, because they're the Power Rangers, of course. And equally, of course, the mummy guards don't ask any questions or for any proof of this. They just see the 4 captured monsters and zap everyone present for some reason to the... I hate this concept. I really do. I hated it before, and I hate it now. Yes, heroes, unfortunately, we are making a return trip to the Halloween Intergalactic Court. I just hate this concept because it makes no sense. Why is there a courtroom for intergalactic criminals that is specifically themed to the Earth holiday of Halloween?
I get it.
I don't get it.
I mean, at least give us some kind of Nightmare Before Christmas-like situation where this is just the intergalactic criminal court and it happens to be on a planet where it's always Halloween for some reason. That would be a little easier to buy. Anyway, the trial kicks off and the judges, who I am now forced to remind you, are a trio of friggin' jack-o'-lanterns that speak with a single voice, have the court witch ask the Rangers for a plea. By the by, I'm going to be referring to the characters as who they actually are, not their bodies. So I'll be saying the Rangers when we're looking at monsters, and I'll be saying the monsters when we're looking at Rangers. Also, speaking of the court witch, she was really reminding me of Elsa from Dino Thunder, but I looked it up and she's actually acted by Eve Gordon, the suit actress for Keeper from Dino Charge. And she also could technically sort of be considered Brody's mother because she is married, the actress I should say, is married to Dane Romero's actor, and wow, this got off track. The Rangers, of course, plead not guilty, and Brody explains that they've had their bodies switched. He says the proof of this is that they know things that monsters wouldn't know, like how he and Mick stole the Ninja Nexus prism from Galvanax. That's right, let the clip show begin, as we see clips from the first episode. Unfortunately, Brody seems to have forgotten that his enemies run a television show, so Stabarus, acting as Preston, just tells the rest of the story about how they pulled the stars out of the prism and thus became the Power Rangers. The judges are forced to agree that knowing the plot of a television show does not prove who they really are. For anyone who's seen the Dino Supercharge episode Trick or Trial, this is going to be nothing new, but maybe you're very new to Power Rangers, so just to explain anyway, this courtroom uses a 10-strike system with the literal death sentence waiting after 10 strikes. However, since the Rangers were not able to prove that they'd had their bodies swapped, the judges decide that they must have been lying about that and give them a single strike right off the bat.
The behavior is highly illogical.
Oh, Spock, it's only going to get worse from here. Brody and Sarah get to the shop. Not the base. Mick is working on a car with Redbot for some reason in the shop. Wait just a second. Mick knows how to work on Earth cars. Just a couple of episodes ago, he asked Calvin if it was common for Earth cars to randomly break down from electrical failures. He didn't sound that familiar with how they work. Brody and Sarah are able to prove who they are by knowing that Mick is from the Lion Galaxy and that his family calls him Micklepoo. They explain the situation and Mick says that the Halloween Intergalactic Court is the toughest court out there. Sure. But he has a plan that involves swishing his fingers around in a swapping motion. The testimony begins as Fangor accuses Calvin of trying to bite them all and turn them into vampires, with Jabberon backing up the story. We see clips of this, but it's actually the kind of neater technique of finding a place for unused Sentai footage. And boy oh boy, heroes, did a ninja provide them with some Sentai footage that they couldn't really use any other way. We see the Rangers fighting Fangor and, at the very least, driving him back. The flashback ends before we see anything definitive, by using a tornado on a plate of garlic dumplings that Brody summoned using a ninja-sounding attack.
Excuse me, what?
As neat as it is to see this unused ninja footage, even if it is goofy ninja footage, I have one little problem with this. It didn't happen! I mean, yes, obviously the monsters are making up stories to get the Rangers vaporized, but it's not real, so what are we seeing? The judge's mental interpretation of what they're being told? It's neat to see the unused Sentai footage, but it's being presented as evidence to the point that we're not hearing these details being told to us. We're seeing them acted out in the exact same manner that Brody was telling the story about stealing the Ninja Nexus Prism, which is a flashback that we do actually know happened, so what is going on here?
It's a fake.
Calvin says that's not true, and he can prove it by the fact that he loves garlic, and Jabberon challenges him to do so. The witch just happens to have a big old strand of garlic right there, because of course she friggin' does. Calvin takes a big whiff of it, but unfortunately he is in a vampire's body, so he reacts badly. The judges decide that this is worthy of 2 strikes, one for attacking the Rangers, and one for lying about garlic.
That's harsh, man.
Oh, you ain't seen nothing yet. So now Stabarus takes his turn of accusing Preston of cutting the Rangers' weapons in half, and the Rangers decided to fight him by all putting on their magic capes. No, it's not explained how that was supposed to help, and as a matter of fact it didn't, as Preston's wand and Brody's sword get cut in half. The flashback then ends and Plasmora tells the court how the Rangers used their ninja metal attack to stop the monster from doing that, which is also something we don't get to see how it would have helped.
Okay, I guess that makes sense.
Preston says that he can prove who he really is if he could just have his wand, which Stabarus is currently holding. He says he can't do magic in that body without his wand, which implies that he can do magic in his own body without his wand, though really we've only seen that happen once when he was morphed and he used a fire dragon attack, but anyway. As I'm sure you can imagine, the court saw this much like an accused murderer saying that they can prove they didn't commit the crime if they could just hold that gun over there. 3 strikes for this one, 2 for attacking the Rangers this time for some reason, and 1 for trying to trick the court.
Man's practicing fuzzy math again.
Shouldn't that be the other way around if you think about it? We've already had it established with Fangor that attacking the Rangers is worth 1 strike, and wouldn't the court be more offended by one of the criminals trying to fool them? Anyway, we cut back over to Mixed Group. Brody gets Versix to chase him around a corner, and the Rangers trap the monster inside a dumpster. Then the mummy guards show up, informed by someone that the last 2 of the gruesome grunts would be there. Levi is the last monster to stand accused, and the witch asks what his crimes are. Levi says he's not a monster, he's a singer, and sings a little bit of "I'll Be There to Prove It." However, as the judges point out, having a good singing voice doesn't mean that you're not a monster, and they themselves prove that by demonstrating a little bit of their barbershop quartet skills. Is their 4th also a pumpkin that just happens not to be a judge? Oh, and by the way, Levi's monster body, Sheldax, is actually Snapper from Power Rangers Jungle Fury. The writers must have realized that they were running short on time here because the judges make their worst ruling of the entire episode. Levi gets 1 strike for absolutely nothing. The judges say guilty, but he hadn't been accused of anything yet. And 3, count them, 3 strikes because Calvin was surprised that pumpkins could sing. Yep, that brings the Rangers up to 10 strikes, and they're set to be executed. But of course, we can't have that, can we? The mummy guards come in, bringing in Versix and the other two gruesome grunts, Brody and Sarah, shackled up. The Rangers think now that they're all doomed, but suddenly Versix confesses the entire plan. The witch uses a reversal spell to put everyone back in their own bodies, which begs the question of why she didn't just try that before when the Rangers claimed they'd been switched. If it was a reversal spell, then either it works and they were telling the truth, or it doesn't and they were lying, right? The monsters ask Versix why he sold them out, but the reason is that it's not Versix at all. Yes, it's actually Mick who shapeshifted into Versix. This is pretty clever. I would have liked it a little additional line from Mick about hating having to study a monster that closely to be able to transform into that form exactly, but it was kind of a nice idea. Now, I thought that the pumpkin judges would have hated this. They've been fooled. They've been lied to. The actual monster did not confess to the crime. Nope, they're perfectly fine with this, vaporizing the monsters, carrying out the sentence that it was originally given, and apologizing to the Rangers. The judges ask where the real Versix is. Mick and Redbot had him captured, but excellently demonstrating Redbot's usefulness on his own, he immediately reports that Versix has escaped. The Rangers say that they'll handle this one, with Mick conveniently enough giving them back their power stars. They morph and head over to meet Versix by the docks. This is actually a really good fight scene as far as Ninja Steel goes, even if it's Ninja footage. Big explosions, a nice back and forth, it was fun to watch. The Rangers finally get the upper hand when Levi uses his Stormstar's tornado mode, without a sound effect for the spin, whoops, getting the monster up to the air and all the Rangers slash him. Brody then goes Lion Fire and does his finisher on him, and Versix is still standing. So Brody then gets the Superstar Blade and does a double finisher on him. He does explode, but then he gets right back up. Jeez, Energizer Bunny this one. He makes himself grow, I guess because Cosmo's voice actor had the week off this week, or maybe Galaxy Warriors was airing a repeat. Anyway, the episode pads for time a little bit, which is funny because it was rushing earlier, by giving us the entire Ultrazord formation sequence. Versix triggers an earthquake that shakes their formation apart. Sarah says that any Megazord formation they try to put together will just be shaken apart, so they can't do that. Because, attacking the monster before it can do that wouldn't make the first bit of sense, right? Anyway, the Rangers decide their best course of action is to not go with a Megazord and attack with all individual Zords, even summoning the Astro, Subsurfer, and Rumble Tusk Zords. For some reason, Calvin, Haley, and Sarah jump over to the auxiliary Zords, piloting them like their regular ones as they ram into the monster. Then presumably they go back to their own Zords as those slash through Versix, destroying him.
That was easy.
The Rangers get to go trick-or-treating, a full trial, monster fight, and Zord fight, not even taking the day to sunset yet. But they then see one of the pumpkin judges sitting on a park bench. I honestly thought this was going to be that fourth pumpkin that's in their barbershop quartet. The Rangers think it's just a decoration that someone left sitting on the middle of a park bench for some reason, but then it declares them guilty. But it was just Mick. As he says, the Rangers got the treats, so he provided the trick. It was cute. Let's throw stars. Episode 21, Monster Mix-Up. Pros: creative use of unused Sentai footage, clever use of Mick's abilities, and a unique Zord fight. Cons: premise is incredibly weak, confusion about the flashbacks, and the feeling of deja vu. I didn't hate it. Unfortunately, that's the high watermark for Ninja Steel at this point. Monster Mix-Up gets 2.5 stars out of 5. I feel like I must have said this sometime before in the past couple of years. I know it's not the first time the show has done this, but I'll say it again. If we're going to get these flashbacks as exposition holiday clip show specials, this is what I would rather they do. flashbacks that are clips from unused Sentai footage, so it provides a new experience for the audience. And this works really well for Ninja Steel, where Ninja provides a ton of Sentai footage that's just far too goofy to use here in the States. When Mick turned into a hammer during tech support, I saw some people say that it was pretty neat because we hadn't seen Mick's shapeshifting abilities in a while. That really didn't scratch the itch to see those abilities for me, though itch might be putting it more than a bit strongly. But this was a lot better. I like when those abilities are key to an episode's plot, in this case being the thing that they use to convince the court to switch the Rangers and the monsters back. I also actually like the joke at the end, using those abilities for a clever gag in tricking the Rangers. Now, I do get the criticism from folks like Japanime that say that these abilities only come up when the script calls for them and aren't an integral part of his character. But as long as they're used well like this, that's not something that I mind all that much. Oh, by the way, Victor and Monty aren't in this episode at all. That's definitely worth a small bonus right there. Anyway, I have mentioned in the past, as recently as my Aftershock review, that I love individual Zord fights, and this episode had the mother of all individual Zord fights. I kind of wish they'd been able to summon in the Blaze Zords as well, but that's not in the footage, so I understand why that didn't happen. I just love getting to see the individual Zords all in action on their own and demonstrating their worth as more than just the Legos that form the Megazord. However, the premise this episode was based on was incredibly weak in two primary ways. The first was all of the Rangers deciding to leave their Power Stars with Mick with an active threat going on. I mean, I get that this is a team of teenagers that's mentored by a mechanic, but is nobody thinking strategically here? Do one or two of the Power Stars at a time. Leave Levi or Brody near the end because they can form Megazords all by themselves. What has given this team the impression that they can just take a day off with Odious up there?
You're stupid.
I mean, apparently Odious took the day off too, but still. And the other is the Hollow Stupid, Interstupid, Court Stupid. Have I made it clear that I hate that? Because in case I haven't made that clear, I hate that. This concept is not, it doesn't make any sense, and it's not fun. I know some people are going to say, oh, stop taking it so seriously and just have fun with it. It's not fun because it doesn't make any sense. I can't suspend my disbelief to just accept that there is a court for intergalactic criminals out there that's run by 3 talking jack-o'-lanterns and the Wicked Witch of the West as a bailiff. The fact that they came up with this concept and that it was greenlit once, that's bad enough. For them to go back to it a second time like some kind of clever callback, that's just crazy. And hey, wait a second. The first time we saw this concept was during Trick or Trial, a Dino Supercharge episode. That's an entirely different dimension. Are you telling me this stupid idea made sense to someone across 2 different dimensions? Or maybe they got a hold of a transportal. They could have gotten it from Chase, since James Davies, Chase's actor, is a voice actor for one of the mummy guards in this episode. I still don't really get what was going on with the monster's testimony showing up as clips couched in a clip show episode like they actually happened when we know that they didn't. Even Ranger Wikia has something on each of the monster's pages to the effect of, based on their testimony, they previously battled with the Ninja Rangers. But no, I don't think that's actually true. The monsters are clearly just making these stories up. The Rangers never say anything to the effect of, sure, that happened, but it's not like you're saying you're not telling the story right. I'm pretty sure at one point Haley even says that the entire story is just a lie. But then how are we seeing footage from it? Is it the monster's imagination? The judge's imagination? What's going on? I'll say it again. These clips are couched in the episode, just like the flashback clips from the first few episodes we saw, which we know are true. Are the monsters making these scenarios up?
They're all true. Even the lies. Especially the lies.
I kind of touched on this during the first con, but any charm this episode had, not that there was much, was lost considering the fact we've done this one already. I mean, Dino Supercharge was only 2 years ago. Your brand new audience for Ninja Steel can't possibly exceed even the audience that started just with Dino Supercharge. Your audience is going to remember that you've done this before. You might even say that that was the point. It's a cute reference. That's a callback. Except remember, that took place in a different dimension. So this is something you're establishing brand new in this timeline, and it's just the exact same thing. The fact that you rushed through the 10 strikes to get through the episodes as you were running out of time does not make it creatively distinct enough. This entire episode just reeked of laziness and a lack of creativity. But in the end, here's the thing. The past few episodes of Ninja Steel really pissed me off, bad to the point of severe frustration. This wasn't that. It wasn't good, it was dumb, the whole Halloween court concept is idiotic, the plot didn't make a whole lot of sense, but it was kind of cute, I laughed in some places, it had some good fights, it was okay. Not good, again, not good by any stretch of the imagination, just okay, especially for Ninja Steel. But remember, technically speaking, this is the 21st episode of Super Ninja Steel. We could still be on a terrible streak as we get to the 18th episode of Super Ninja Steel, Magic Misfire. As the Rangers try to help a wrongly fired teacher, Tynamon brainwashes Mick to work for Madame Odious. Whoa-ho-ho! Are things actually starting to get real as we wind our way towards the end of this season? Guess we'll have to wait and see. That's going to do it for this Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel episode review. Thank you, heroes, so much, as always, for watching. Make sure to like the video by clicking that thumbs up button right down below. In the comments below, let me know what you thought of this super special Halloween special. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What'd you think of my review of it? Let me know down in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel to see all of my videos and ring that bell. Get your notifications set up so you can get notified of whenever I post brand new videos such as these Power Rangers Super Ninja Steel episode reviews. And if you would really like to toss a little bit of a treat into my trick-or-treat bucket, you can head over to digitaltipjar.com/orangerangervid, toss a little tip change in the jar, and I'd greatly appreciate anything that lands inside. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you! It's time to see what costumes the Rangers picked out for themselves and what Halloween antics... Brody points out that if Odious is sending 7 monsters... Wait a second, Mick knows how to work... Just a couple of episodes ago, he asked Calvin if it was common for Earth cars to... Hang on just a second. Mick... This fight never actually happened. It's unused Sentai footage that is not part of Ninja Steel's story, and I don't know the rest of this take. It didn't happen! This is not part of Ninja Steel's story. Farts. As you can imagine, the court sees this much like an accused murderer, then the mummy guards, one of whom is voiced by James Davies, Chase from Dino Charge, and sings a little bit of I'll Be There to Prove It. As Levi gets, or maybe Galaxy Warriors was writing a repeat. Anyway, farts. Or maybe Galaxy Warriors was where Eric was. My elephant trumpet of frustration. He does explode, but then gets right back up. Jeez, Energizer Bunny this one. I feel like I must have said this before sometime in a couple... Flashbacks to unused Sentai footage that we haven't actually seen before because it provides a new experience for the audience, and I don't know what I'm saying. The thing they use to trick the monsters into giving up their plan and convincing the court to switch the Rangers and the monsters back. But this was definitely much better. Those abilities being key to the episode's plot. The thing that they used to convince the judge and the witch and the one or two at a time, I understand. Leave Brody or Levi for last since they can form Megazords all by themselves. The fact that they came up with this concept and that it was green-lipped? Wow. For them to go back to it a second time like it's a super clever callback is just crazy. The fact that they came up with this concept and that it was greenlit is bad enough. And hey, wait a second. The first time we saw this court was during the Dino Soup Fart! I kind of touched on this during the first con, but any charm, and I'm not saying this episode had much charm, the fact that you rushed through the 10 strikes because of the time left in the episode doesn't mean that this was any different. Doesn't mean it's different enough to be creatively distinct. What is that last line? So we could be on a stretch of horridness still as we get back to the main plot by taking a look at that didn't make any bit of sense. We could still be on a streak of horridness as we get as the Rangers try to help a wrongly fired teacher, Tynamon, capture Snaggleglaggin.